Today we're going to be graphing combined inequalities. Before we get to that, we'll just start with one inequality and graph it. Hopefully you recall how to do this from your days in algebra. If not, that's why we're doing this. So in order to graph anything, whether it has a less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or even if it just has an equal sign, if you're trying to graph something, you always have to solve for y first. And so if we're going to get y by itself, we would subtract 3x, and then you have 5y is less than a negative 3x plus 20. And then divide by 5, and you will get y is less than a negative 3/5 x plus 4. And so now we graph the line. And when you graph the line, your slope is a negative 3/5 and the y-intercept is a positive 4. So that means we are going to cross at a positive 4 right there. And then our slope negative 3/5, so down 3 and to the right 5. And then down 3 and to the right 5 again. Down 3 and to the right 5. And you can go up 3 and to the left 5. And so then we have our line. Now, when you draw your line, if you have a greater than or a less than, your line should be a dashed line, like so. If you have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, it should be a solid line. So this one, because it is just greater than, should be a dashed line. And then we have to figure out which side to shade. And when you're trying to figure out which side to shade, we have to select a coordinate. What coordinate you pick is completely up to you, but if you can, use 0, 0. When you select the coordinate, it can't be on the line. In this case, if you do choose 0, 0, it's not on this line that we have drawn here in blue, so therefore we can use it. So you pick that point, and then you substitute it in the original equation, actually the inequality. And so we take 0, 0, and we substitute it in for x and y. And so 3 times 0 is 0, plus 5 times 0, which is 0, and 0 plus 0 is 0, and so you have 0 is less than 20. Then you have to ask yourself, is this a true statement? Is 0 less than 20? In this case, it is. It is true, so then we would say shade that side. So then this whole entire area is the side that is shaded. Now what does that mean in the context of this problem? That means any coordinate down here will work in this particular equation. And so you always shade the true side. If you were to pick a coordinate up here, when you substitute it in, like say 2, 10, if you put 2 here and 10 there, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 5 times 10, which is 50. So 56 would be less than 20. So this coordinate here says 56 is less than 20. That is not true. So we don't want to shade this side because this is the false side. That's why you shade this one. So it doesn't matter where you pick your coordinate, you just always shade the true side. Like I said, if you use 0, 0, it's the easiest one to work with because you really don't have to do too much. All right, so then a combined inequality would deal with two equations or more at one time, and then you have to shade the true part. So this first one is x minus 5y is less than 20. So you subtract x, and you get a negative 5y is less than a negative x plus 20. Then we would divide by a negative 5, and you're going to have y is less than 1/5 x minus 4. Now, if you recall from your days in algebra, when you divide by a negative, you're supposed to switch the inequality, so it should be this way. But if you forget to do that, you'll be okay as long as you go back to the original when you pick your coordinate. Okay, but first let's graph this. So we have 1/5 x minus 4. So down here is a negative 4. The slope is 1/5, which is up 1 and over 5. And up 1 and over 5. And we can go down 1 and over 5. And down 1 and over 5. And down 1 and over 5. And we have our line. And again, this is greater than or less than, however you want to look at it. So that means we have to have a dashed line. And we select our coordinate to 0, 0. And like I said, when you do this, if you always go back up to the original and substitute it in, you'll never be incorrect as far as which side you should shade as long as you understand what you're doing. If you forget to switch the inequality down here and you try to substitute it into here, you're going to end up shading the wrong side. That's why it's best to go back up to the original. So in the original, you could have 0 minus 0, which is 0. And so then you would be left with 0 is less than 20. And is that true? Well, yes, it is. So we would have to shade above this line. Now, since we have another one to shade at this point in time, I don't want to shade this yet, but I do want to make sure I indicate which way I'm going to be shading. So we're shading above. Then we have to take this one and graph it on the same coordinate plane. So we subtract x. You get a negative 2y is less than a negative x minus 6. Divide by negative 2. And y, again, you should switch it to greater than 1/2 x plus 3. So we're going to cross at 3. And then we would have up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and so on and so forth. And down 1 and over 2 as well. And so our line is going to be and this one is also just less than. So we have to dash it. And then again, we got to pick a point. This one does not go through 0, 0, so I'm going to use it as well for this one. Substitute 0 here and 0 there. And is 0 less than -6. No, it is not. So in this case, it is false. So we have to shade on this side of this line as well. So here, because we're supposed to shade up with this one and up with that one, we would only shade this part because it has to fit both of them. And then you're done with it. All right, so now this one. First line is x is greater than or equal to 0. Anytime you just have x is greater than or equal to 0, that is a line that runs vertically. And it's at 0, so we're going right here. And it has to be greater than 0, which would be numbers on that side of our line. Because no matter where you're at over here, you're always bigger than 0. So then our red line. Move this one down. If we subtract x, we would have y is less than a negative x plus 5. So crosses at 5. The slope is a -1. And it is less than, so therefore we have to dash it. And then if we choose a coordinate, say 0, 0, for this line, we can choose this point for this red line. And if we substitute it into the original equation, is 0 less than 5? Yes, it is. So now we're going to be shading below this line. Oh, so we're going this way. And that limits our graphing up here, so we got to bring this down, so we're only shading there. Finally, our green one, if we subtract x, be a -2y is greater than or equal to a -x plus 6, divide by a -2, and y is going to be less than or equal to a positive 1/2 x minus 3. So we're going to cross at a -3, and from there go up 1 and over 2. And we are greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, so it's a solid line. And with this one, we can still pick 0, 0 for it. So 0 here, 0 there. And is 0 greater than or equal to 6? No, it's not. So we want to shade below this line, so we're going that direction. And so now we have this to shade in. So that would be from this line going straight up and down, going like that. This line is going to cut it off here. And this dash is going to cut it off there. So we're shading this area. then we're done. All right, so your assignment is going to be your worksheet. This part here, you are going to do these problems, 21 to 26. You have to match the inequality with the graph, the correct one, and then you're going to do this middle section from 28 straight down to 49. And that's everything. Enjoy.